Hello YouTube, Eric here, and quick brief little talk about the Trump indictment, which I'm not following too closely, but my words from 2016, okay? And it's painfully demoralizing to realize how few people understand my perspective, both in 2016 and today. So I'm going to take you back 2016, at least 3, maybe 5, 6 months before Trump was elected. I caught my father one day saying, doing the stupid lock her up chant like we all saw the people doing at the Trump rallies. Do you remember that started after, I believe it's, if memory serves me correct, Trump at one of the debates. You know, he had that line that was funny. I laughed my ass off when he said, "You should be in jail," to Hillary. It was kind of funny, right? But even then, I knew Trump would never target Hillary. Anyways, a few months after that debate, when all the lock her up chants started, I heard my dad saying that one day. And I interrupted him, and I said to him, Trump will never target Hillary. If he's elected president, he will never target Hillary. I went on to say, I don't always say this every time I say it that way, but I did right then that day. I said, on top of that, if Hillary was convicted on Trump's watch, Trump would very likely hand her a pardon. And no, that doesn't mean that I believe that they're on the same team, which they might be. Everything we're watching might be just some stupid act. It kind of seems almost like a soap opera. But even if it isn't, something that the painfully demoralizing part is that people don't seem to grasp that a strong man doesn't need to use every tool at his disposal. But a weak man does. So what I had said to my father that day, when I interrupted him and I said Trump would never target Hillary if he's elected president, I said right away, explained it this way, that Trump knows that would make him look weak. Using those tools at his disposal, the federal government, using that against an opponent, versus just beating her on a level playing field and a slow drip of truth. Okay, now I said this was 2016, months before Trump was elected. Okay, again, in I believe 2019, one of my brother's friends was over here. I was sitting in the same chair I'm sitting in right now. He was standing about like 3-4 feet from me, and I explained that to him also, because he was one of those, he actually was a huge Trump hater. And then after speaking with me a few times, all of a sudden he became like a huge Trump tart, like cute tart even. It's kind of weird how quickly I was able to use my mind to get him to completely flip from where he was. A huge Trump, just hated Trump, to all of a sudden all over Trump's nuts. Yeah. Stroking Trump's cock every chance he had. Complete cute tart. But anyways, he was kind of the lock her up type mentality too, and I explained to him the same thing, that using those tools if you have tools at your disposal and you choose to not use them, that's a sign of strength. If you choose to just go beat somebody on the level playing field instead of using tools, right? Like the Department of Justice. That's a sign of strength. Okay? It's a sign of weakness if you use those tools. A strong man knows he doesn't have to, and a weak man knows that he does have to. And my part, now I just feel demoralized as hell. Like when I realize how few people can even understand that. And I think when they can't understand that, the thing that's demoralizing from my perspective is they're outing themselves as beta males or worse. Have they fucking chopped their own balls off or something? I mean, anybody with balls should be able to understand this. Now, I'm not a follower of, I'm not a real big fan of Jordan Peterson. You know, I mean, I've seen him speak a couple times, and some of his quotes are real good. He's got one that is really good. So Jordan Peterson once said, he said, if you think strong men are dangerous, wait until you see what weak men are capable of. Okay? Now there's another flip side to this. If you want to manifest positive goals in your life, it's not good to focus on something really negative. I explained to that tard in 2019 that was right in front of me, when I said that the way to defeat Hillary is simply a slow drip of truth, and eventually you will get even the biggest Hillary supporters to fight against her. You don't need to use the Department of Justice. You don't need to lock her up like that stupid chant. You don't need to do that. All that has to be done is shed light on the fuckery that she's been involved in, and the people, her biggest supporters, will turn on her, turn against her. That's the path to win. And that's a much higher road, because now you don't have anywhere near as much negativity in your heart. If you are spending all your time focusing on putting somebody in a fucking cage, and yes, for the record, I used to speak about putting people in a cage 10 years before, the leftards made that a thing that you say during the Trump administration. My grandfather did a bit in Nazi Stalag 4B. Yeah, my grandfather survived a Nazi concentration camp as a blue-eyed Christian, so not who you think. You might think, oh, but we know who was... Yeah, there was more than just those people in the camps. My grandfather was 106th Infantry. 3,000 men were marched into that camp on a 300-mile death march with no food. My grandfather weighed 89 pounds when he was liberated from that camp. Okay? So when we're talking about cages, that's in the blood flowing through these veins right here. That's in my motherfucking DNA. I've been talking about this for a minute now. Okay? Alright. Shouldn't have that in your heart to put other people in cages. However, if they're guilty of doing great harm to people, I mean, sometimes it's necessary to keep the public safe. Alright, hope this finds you well, and don't get caught looking like somebody who can't understand this basic stuff, because you're outing yourself as a beta male or worse.